Termites 1, Chicago Cubs 0. Down below, tangled thick nets of spongy buckthorn have grown to 20 feet high, shutting out the playing field. 100 years into a life after people. The elevated L train in downtown Chicago has been disintegrating for decades. In 1892, the first section of the elevated railroad, the second oldest in America, began moving passengers around by locomotive above parts of the old streetcar loop that surrounded downtown Chicago. Now, paint peels off the steel girders holding up the platform, and rust begins eating away at the exposed iron and steel. Bolts and rivets erode and crack, causing a shear break of some of the supporting beams.
As pieces start to fall, you would get distortion in the supporting members, and they would start to twist and fall and pull down other nearby members. So you'd start to have a domino effect as it starts to twist and fall, hitting the ground.
In London, Big Ben is covered with vegetation, its windows blown out, chunks of decorative stonework chipped away. The top of the iconic tower has always leaned 8.6 inches to the northwest. Over decades, with no humans to manage the water level in the Thames, the river continually floods the surrounding banks and rots Big Ben's foundation.
After, say, 100 years or so, the tilt within the tower will increase, and gradually the tower will become more and more unstable until finally gravity takes over and the tower itself collapses into the ground.
It's 200 years into a life after people. In downtown Chicago, the Sears Tower is finally beginning to totter. Decades of ferocious weather have battered this iconic landmark into a hollowed-out, honeycombed husk. The Sears Tower has 104 separate elevators with multiple shafts ending at different levels of the building. The cables rust and snap, but the elevator's brakes kick in. Eventually, the brakes corrode and they too give way.
You have these 104 elevators at different times, of course, come down those shafts, blasting through the floors like a bomb, cutting through the building, and of course further dragging down the floors and the structure around them.
Only 2 elevators connect the ground floor to the observation deck over a quarter mile above the street. One of the 3-ton elevator cans free falls from the top floor, hitting the ground floor at more than 200 miles per hour, generating more than 1.5 million pounds of force on impact. But that won't be enough to topple this epic structure. Nature will need one final sledgehammer. Years after people, the Sears Tower makes its final stand. What will break the building's back are the 114 pilings driven into the bedrock that hold up the structure.
The real Achilles heel in the Sears Tower is you've got 8 floors underground. And once you have a life without people, those floors are going to fill with water.
Chicago River flooding weakens the lower interior columns supporting the building, causing it to collapse.
It could finally reach a point where it just simply falls all at one time. Into one just giant heaping mass of twisted metal and concrete and glass.
250 years after people, though the Sears Tower collapsed decades earlier, Chicago's 100-story John Hancock Center still stands. The Hancock Center owes its longevity to the unique crisscross X-bracings of steel beams that lace the structure of the building, giving it extra fortification. But with all its windows blown out and centuries of moisture corroding its steel framing, something's got to give. At the corner of the 85th floor, several crucial beams converge. One by one, they rust, bend, and fracture from the stream of water dripping down from the perforated roof. At a critical nook, a final beam cracks and shears off. The 15 floors above it start a corner-line cascade down the side of the building that then sets off a catastrophic floor-by-floor implosion of the whole edifice. 3 centuries after people, the rabies virus struggles to survive. The disease requires dense animal populations in order to spread. As domestic animals died off and wild animals dispersed from the fringes of the human settlements where they once scavenged, the virus could infect little more than several thousand animals per year. The outbreak is over. "5,000 years after people, only eerie reminders of our history remain. Stone Mountain, just outside Atlanta, is the largest piece of exposed granite in the world. 825 feet high and measuring 5 miles in circumference. In the 1920s, the United Daughters of the Confederacy raised enough money for work to begin on a massive sculpture of Southern Civil War heroes Jefferson Davis, Robert E. Lee, and Stonewall Jackson on the northern side of the rock.
Granite is without a doubt one of the hardest, most competent rocks, on the face of the earth. There's hardly a crack in the rock.
After nearly 50 years and several sculptors, the work was completed in 1972. The carved tablet is more than 1 football field long and is as tall as a 22-story skyscraper. After 5 millennia, 90% of the carving remains completely intact.
Just get the impression that this thing will be here forever.
But most of what man has built won't be. The great cities of Chicago, Atlanta, and London all arose because of their geographical proximity to the life-giving attributes of nature: rivers, lakes, fertile soil. Now, the silhouettes of these once thriving metropolises are vanquished. The rubble left behind, camouflaged beneath mounds, covered in dense vegetation, and swarming with wildlife. Nature has broken out and conquered. Man's cities have lost the battle in a life after people.